Even though dinosaurs are long extinct, scientists are still learning about their behavior by studying their brains. What they've learned is pretty mind-blowing. Here are some scary, weird, and wonderful things that lurk in the minds of dinosaurs. Number 1. Some dinosaurs had really big brains. The average dinosaur brain weighed only about 3 ounces or 87 grams, but some species had much larger brains. Sexual dimorphism is when males and females of the same species look different. Take peacocks and peahens. The males are known for their colorful tail feathers, while the females are much more plain. Well, the same thing happened with this relative of the velociraptor. The males were fierce predators with giant, scary-looking skulls, while the females looked kind of cute with their short, flat snouts. Unfortunately, scientists haven't been able to figure out yet why the males evolved such big heads. Maybe it was to attract a mate, or maybe it was for fighting other males, or research is needed to find out. Scientists can tell what sounds a dinosaur made by looking at the shape of its skull and the size of its brain. Most land dinosaurs had eyes on the sides of their heads, but some had eyes on the top, kind of like frogs do. These dinosaurs were small proto-chickens that lived during the Jurassic period. Their eyes were way up here, so they could see predators coming from above. See, back then, birds hadn't evolved yet, so there were very few animals that hunted dinosaurs by flying through the air, but there were lots of animals that hunted by sneaking up below them. You know the drill. Dinosaur, unsuspecting, chomp, chomp. So having eyes on the top of their heads would have been a huge advantage for these little dinos. Today, this type of eye placement is pretty rare. Only about 5% of living land vertebrates have eyes on the top of their heads. But in the age of the dinosaurs, it was much more common. In fact, there's evidence that many dinosaurs also had eyes on the top of their heads. This includes Maiasaura, the largest meat eater of all time. Imagine being at the top of the food chain and still having to look out for sneaky gliders. The bigger the part of the skull that surrounds the jaw, the louder it could call. They were complex, highly intelligent animals with lots of interesting adaptations, and we're just beginning to understand what life was like for these amazing creatures. The bigger the brain, the more complex the sounds it could make. This relative of Ankylosaurus lived 76 million years ago in what's now North America. It was about the size of a Labrador retriever and spent a lot of time near water. Scientists think it was mostly a herbivore, but it had sharp teeth in the front of its mouth for catching fish. Its skull told researchers that it was a noisy dinosaur, but scientists weren't sure what it sounded like. That is until they got a close look at its inner ear bones. These bones act like tuning forks to pick up vibrations and send them to the brain. By studying the shape of these bones, scientists could figure out how sensitive the dinosaur's hearing was and how well it could hear high and low sounds. They compared these features to modern animals to try to figure out what the dinosaur might have sounded like. They concluded that the dinosaur probably had a surprisingly human-like voice, kind of like a croaking bullfrog, but way louder. The same year that the fossil of the dinosaur superbrain was found, another research team published an even more detailed reconstruction of a relative of Ankylosaurus called Boreopeltomarch michelli. Their study suggested that this dinosaur had an especially large brain for its size. In fact, it had the largest brain ever found for any reptile, including today's snakes and lizards. So not only were some dinosaurs super smart, but they were also kind of weird looking with their huge heads and tails. If you want to see one for yourself, head over to the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pittsburgh. That's where the fossil is kept. Just don't touch it. Number 2, a relative of Ankylosaurus was also a chatterbox. Number 3, a relative of the velociraptor was highly sexually dimorphic. And number 4, some dinosaurs had eyes on the top of their heads. From super brains to fancy voices, dinosaurs were much more than just giant lizards.